live from Christenberry Fieldhouse on this Saturday afternoon. Hi everybody, I'm Robert Ambrose. Today I'm joined by Blake Collins. Blake, how are you doing this weekend, my man?
Absolutely wonderful. We had a good slate of weekend competition last weekend. The Jags won one and they lost one. They lost one on Saturday, came back, took the primary opener of the weekend on Friday, and it was a good test both directions because we're in the smack dab in the thick of Peach Belt competition, and it is going to be a really good volleyball game today with a team coming from Florida in Flagler.
Absolutely, it will be. You're correct, Blake. The Jaguars, this has implications for the conference tournament coming up in a couple of weeks.
It does.
And the reason for that, the Jaguars and the Saints are in third and fourth place, respectively. The top six go to the conference tournament of the 7 teams in the Peach Belt Conference. But for seeding, this game is crucial. The Saints are 5-2 in conference play. The Jaguars, a game behind them, 3-3 in fourth place. And USC Aiken atop 6-1, 22-2 overall. They are having an unbelievable season. Are the Pacers? They've been very good in volleyball the last few years. Lander also 6-1 and 17-6 overall in second place. So nevertheless, the reason these are huge is these teams want to climb in the standings to catch Lander and USC Aiken for the top 2 spots, because the top 2 teams in the conference get a first round bye in the conference tournament.
Yeah, they do, and it's 4 versus 5 right now, and it's going to be a pivotal matchup. Now, if Flagler can somehow ground the defense of the Jags and penetrate outside of the blocking scheme of the Jags up front in the front court and get it into the secondary, they've got a better chance, because Augusta's blocking scheme is absolutely tremendous out on the volleyball court. And for Augusta, try to throw Flagler off their game a little bit. Use a lot of that footwork and eye work that we've been seeing a lot this season to maneuver players out of position and capitalize on points when it's given to you and take those points as well.
Absolutely. We'll talk a little bit more about this game on the other side of the player introductions and the national anthem. Stay tuned, everybody. Welcome you back here to Christenberry Fieldhouse. We've concluded the national anthem. Teams are getting set to play volleyball on this Saturday afternoon. The Jaguars in their blue jerseys, the Flagler Saints in their road grays. These two teams did meet earlier this season, so this is the second meeting between these two teams in the fall of 2019. First meeting came back on Friday, October the 4th, down in St. Augustine. The match was won by Flagler in 5 sets, in 3-2. So the Jaguars look for a little payback in that one. Jaguars 3-3 in conference play. They've had some bumps during conference play, but overall have had a very good season, 19-7. It's a very hungry team. This team won the conference tournament a year ago, reached the NCAAs. They want to build on that. They have some good players back from last year's team, despite the losses they had of players that graduated from last year's team. They have several players back that are hungry, and it's contagious to the new people.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, in those losses, they were caught off guard. They didn't really present much footwork and much eye movement, and then they were sent sprawling out to try to save balls that were on their side of the court. Center positioning, strong positioning, and they've improved on that here throughout the season. Let's see if they can continue that today against a very tough Flagler team coming home to Christenberry Fieldhouse.
Absolutely. So last weekend, you mentioned this, Blake. The Jaguars had a pink-out night 11 days ago, swept Georgia College. It was a very tight first set. The Jaguars absolutely rolled in sets 2 and 3 to complete the sweep, then swept UNC Pembroke on Friday before falling to Francis Marion in 4 sets a week ago. And now we're underway here at the Chris. And the first point of the match goes to the Saints. They lead at 1-0 here in set 1.
It's a great job there by Carly Redfern there, killing it just over the top of Augusta's defense. They weren't ready for it out of position. They couldn't get their hands in response in time, and the deflection off the ball caused the Jags not to have anybody in the defensive backcourt to save that deflection.
And Holland Martin dives on the dig, her first dig of the game, and the Jaguars answer right back. They are able to stay on their feet and hit the ball across for the point on that one to tie this one at 1. That's going to send Kylie Martin, a 6-foot-tall junior from Gypsum, Colorado. She's a transfer from Laramie County Community College. A community college in her home state. Comes all the way out to Georgia for her junior year. Gets the serve. And she gets the dig on the return. Back come the Jaguars. They're going to keep 3 up on the net. And the Jaguars get a point. It bounces out of bounds right into the hands of the scorer for today's game, Peter Heyman. Peter has been up here doing the games for us a bunch this year. He's down doing the scoreboard tonight. He's done a fantastic job this season. So it's 2-1 Augusta. And that one lands out of bounds. So the Jaguars lay off of that one. They get the point. So 3 straight points for the Jaguars after Flagler scored on the opening serve.
Yeah, Flagler just seems a little bit out of whack right now. They seem just a little bit off balance, and some of their sharp kills that they're doing aren't precise like they've shown it in the first point.
And Jessica Hedrick floats it over. You're not going to see her do that very often. She's 6'2" and likes to stay up on the net, but she still floats one over. And Flagler ultimately gets the point, so it's 3-2.
The change up in strategy, though, calls for a reader out on their defense to connect with that, even though the Jags couldn't capitalize with a kill that went out of bounds. Still a good call by Jessica there to change up the strategy a little bit.
And the Jaguars get a point. So there you see Nidu Evans smacking it across the net. Flagler was caught off guard, so the Jaguars lead it 4-2 very early.
Even in the blocking scheme, it's hard to stay on top of your toes, but at the same, you can't count the carom of the volleyball, so you have to stay on top of your toes to be able to save any deflection off the blocks.
That one floats over, so now the Jaguars, plenty of time to reset. And now we see Flagler doing it on the other end. You see this every game, and it doesn't matter which Jaguars team you're seeing, whether it's last year, the year before, or this year. Coach Qualls loves to put 3 up on the net.
it's a different look, and it causes miscommunication up front by the opposing team, and it's something that the Jags thrive in.
Another point for Augusta, and we'll see the first substitutions of this game. Madison Malik will check in for the Jaguars, as well as Samantha Zitrauer, a 5'9" freshman from Savannah. We have not seen much of her this year, but here she is into this one.
Jags have greatly improved the footwork, and they've used some eye movement to catch some of the defensive players for Flagler off guard and out of position.
And they get it right up to Chloe Allen. She was in perfect position on that one. She hit it right across, but Flagler was ready and spikes it down. But she did everything right on that possession for sure.
Yeah, Makovic was not going to be denied the point on that. She met Chloe Allen in the trenches, toe-to-toe, up top, over the net, and she denied Chloe Allen and was not going to be denied the point.
And a service error, and the libero Holland Martin watches that one sail out of bounds, recognized it was going to land out, and was smart to lay off of that one. And that helps the Jaguars get a point. They lead at 6-4.
Ramos checks in on the Jag side of things. She takes charge sometimes when she needs to on the offensive side, so don't be surprised if you see her start to hit some sharp kills here.
That one is going to stay in. It was hit all the way across the court and just landed inbounds. So 7-4.
And Ramos also has a really good jump serve that you're seeing on display right now.
And where does that one land? Another one lands out. So the Jaguars get another point. The Jaguars have done an outstanding job knowing when to go after the ball and when to lay off so far today.
Yeah, very good reads from the Jags, accompanying all cylinders and facets of their volleyball game.
And that's a spike and a point for the Jaguars. They had both Kylie Martin and Chloe Allen up on the net right next to each other, and it was Martin that hit it down. So Flagler's got to figure out a way around the Jaguars' attack, and that's why they take a timeout here. So what would you discuss for both sides here, Blake? Well, what are you going to discuss?
For Flagler, maybe an extra pass or two to set up a strong offensive attack. That way that you can throw the Jags off their balance on defense, because right now they have a good center base. They're on the attack position on defense, and they're getting to saves, and they're getting to the defensive balls that are in their court very frequently. And for Flagler to find holes, might want to start utilizing some of that eye movement and footwork and strategy to do that, because right now Augusta is looking on all cylinders up to a 5-point lead.
Absolutely. Flagler scored the very first point on the opening serve. It's been all Jaguars since. We saw this 11 days ago when the Jaguars swept Georgia College. They love to go on runs. Georgia College was in control most of set one. The Jaguars came roaring back. I think it was 24-21 Georgia College. Jaguars roared right back and ended up winning set one 29-27. A very back and forth, exciting first set. The Jaguars then absolutely cruised in sets 2 and 3. Somehow found a way to turn it on. That's what good teams do. They could find ways to get on a roll when it looks like you're able to play with them. Then all of a sudden, not so much.
Right. And right there, Ramos was just caught just a little bit out of position there, leaning to the left when Flagler killed it to the right. She couldn't recuperate in time.
So the Jaguars go right on the attack after Flagler serves, and it works right to perfection. They're not letting up after the timeout. It's 10-5. Chloe Allen will serve it for the Jaguars. She's going to get it across. And here we go once again. And what a beautiful job there by Flagler to hit it back over after Jessica Hedrick attempted a spike. and they hit it over their heads, the front of the net. And Chloe Allen hits it into the perfect spot. Another point for the Jaguars. It's 11-5.
Yeah, right there, the Jags' eyes were center cut on center court, caught the libero leaning, and then directed a kill to the right, causing her to shift her weight a little bit too far and not in time to secure the dig.
And a float over goes out. Madison Malik tried to get it over. She did, but it was a little bit too hard of a tap. So it's 11-6 now.
And that was a very good read by Flagler to note the trajectory and how fast that ball was coming off that kill to notice it was going out of bounds.
And a spike there. Kylie Martin hits it across at the perfect angle. And it's 12-6. Volleyball, Blake, it's like geometry in pool a lot. In billiards, there's a lot of aspects that compare the two.
You can utilize a lot of math in this sport, especially when it comes to the angles and the directions of killing the ball, and sometimes of a blocking scheme as well, depending on how high and low you want to hit it off your hand to send it directly into the ground or send it a little bit outside of the reach of some of the defense. So geometry, definitely.
Absolutely. On the last play, originally it looked like Cheswick held onto the ball too long, but they're going to give the Jaguars a point. So there was little discussion, and the Jaguars end up getting a point, and it's 36. How huge is that? And Flagler answers right back. It's 13-7. You got to react quickly, and you got to pick the angle that you want to hit the ball, which is literally geometry in itself.
And there's also some key physics that come into play here as well. But you're looking at it right now. Flagler's got to settle down. You're in the first set. You want to take 1 point at a time here and claw your way back in, one possession at a time.
And they get a point right there. It's 13-8. The Jaguars hit the ball one too many times on their side. So 13-8 Jaguars with the lead. And that's hit across. And that's going to fall short of the net. And Peyton Murchie hits it under the net to the other side. That gives the Saints a point. It was a tough play for her. She had to go over quite a ways, cover a lot of ground just to hit the ball at all. And it's a hard angle to hit the ball over the net in that instance in the right spot. Now here come the Jaguars, and they answer right back. And that one goes out of bounds. We're waiting to see where the officials point, and they point to Flagler's side. So Flagler gets the point. It went out of bounds. It's 13-10 now.
And that's something that if you're Flagler, you do want to call some miscommunication and unfortunate errors on Augusta's side to climb your way back in. So that way, from a psychological standpoint, it throws them off of their A game. Even though Augusta is very strong mentally, you start to wear that down psychologically. It could cause problems for Augusta, and that's one avenue Flagler would like to work on.
It's 14-10 Augusta. Jaguars took advantage of a service error a moment ago. Now here they come. Back with three on the net, and Jessica Hedrick spikes it right down. They always like to put her in the middle of those three on the net with her 6'2" inch height.
Yeah, they expose a hole in the defense. They're catching the defensive setter on the back of her heels instead of on the defensive attack, and it cost them because they couldn't respond to the kill in time.
And another point for the Jaguars on a beautiful serve by Kylie Martin. Right to the perfect spot, 16-10, she'll serve it again. And this time the Saints dig it up. And a spike by Nidu Evans. A freshman with her first spike of the game. 17-10 Jaguars.
Indecision there came back to bite Flagler because you had the outside hitter coming up to kill it. Instead, she wasn't on defense enough, and when she came up to kill, the Jags killed it right where she left the spot to come up to kill, so they exposed the defense in that avenue.
It's now 18-10 Jaguars. And another timeout called by Flagler. This is their final timeout of set one. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Chris. It's 18-10. Jaguars over the Saints here in set number one. The Jaguars knew what they had to do after that timeout, and they took the court much sooner than the Saints did. The Saints took a little more time to talk things over as they have burned both of their timeouts here this set, still trying to figure something out, down by 8. And the Jaguars, if they can get things rolling, it's nearly impossible to stop them. And they have another point. No, that point goes to Flagler. Originally they gave it to the Jaguars, and they changed it, so the Flagler gets a point. It's 18-11.
Slowly but surely creeping their way back into the matchup here, and that's something that consecutive points like that will do Flagler a lot of dividends and favors trying to come back here.
Jaguars get another point. So USC-Aiken and Lander are atop the standings in the Peach Belt Conference. The Jaguars play both those teams here at home 2 weeks from now. They'll play USC-Aiken on Friday night and Lander on Senior Day on Saturday afternoon, the 16th of November. Those could be huge if the Jaguars can run the table, take care of business tonight and in their road games next week. They'll be playing those games for a Peach Belt Conference regular season title and possibly a first-round bye in the conference tournament if they can do that.
But
that's how huge that is right now.
But that's where you want it, though, right back here in your home court where you have home cooking and you have the home field advantage with your fans behind you.
Absolutely, and it has to be great that the scheduling works in your favor. Scheduling is usually beyond your control, but it's going to work in the Jaguars' favor this year, it looks like, in that sense. It's 20-11. Jaguars on top. Holland Martin tries to get it over, but it sails off her fist out of bounds. It's 20-12. The Jaguars also visited USC-Aiken on the 19th of October and Lander the night before, lost both of those matches. But they'll have them back at home at the end of the regular season.
Good strategical adjustment there by Flagler. Noticing everybody was collapsing up in the front court, they tried to kill it into the back court where there was only one defensive setter back there, and just a little bit too long of a touch on that kill cost the Saints there.
21-12 Augusta. And the point goes to the Jaguars. 22-12. 10-point lead, their biggest of the match and of the set so far. The Jaguars last Saturday suffered their first loss in this building of the season in 4 sets to Francis Marion. The Jaguars will visit Francis Marion in 6 days from now. Another shot at a little redemption. It will be the second game of the Jaguars' 3-game road trip next week before returning home for the final 2 games of the regular season against Lander and USC-Aiken. The Jaguars the last few years have played some outstanding matches with the Pacers, who have been atop the conference during both those last few years. They met on Senior Day 2 years ago. The Jaguars won the first 2 sets. USC Aiken roared back, winning sets 3, 4, and 5 to take the match. The Jaguars won last year in an outstanding match here at the Chris.
When those two go toe-to-toe, it's always rigorous competition, and it brings the best out of all the Warriors on the volleyball court.
The Jaguars last season swept the match here at the Chris, but in that third and final set, the closeout set, as hard as those closeout sets are, the score ended up being in the 30s. It was that back and forth before the Jaguars could go up by 2 to close it out. It doesn't matter what sport, those two schools can provide some great ball no matter what. It's 22-15 Jaguars, who are transitioning to closeout mode here in set 1.
Flagler slowly, though, one pick at a time, creeping back into this particular set here. Let's see if they can finish it off, but Augusta is only 3 points away from securing set 1.
Jaguars go right up on the attack. Now they hit it back on their side, and Flagler was ready for that one, but they hit it out of bounds, and the Jaguars get another point. Jaguars have done a great job of guarding certain parts of the court and forcing Flagler to hit it out because they have most of the court guarded.
Well, when you try to be that precise with it, it puts extra pressure on the kill and the offense there, and when you need to be precise, oftentimes that pressure doesn't allow you to be as precise as you are playing freely or without that pressure attached to you.
Martin with a diving dig. Jaguars 1 point away from a victory here in set 1. And they get exactly that. 25-15. Jaguars take the first set. And we will take a quick break. When we come back, Blake and I will preview set number 2. This is a special presentation of the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. Stay tuned. Welcome back here to the Chris. Jaguars got it done in set one, and they just flat out overpowered Flagler in the first set to go up 1-0 as we begin set number two. And this is a good Flagler team. They're 5-2 in conference play, 18-6 overall. The Jaguars 19-7 and 3-3 in conference play. And the Jaguars looking to climb in the standings. So far, so good. The Jaguars look ready to go on this Saturday afternoon. And like I said, they made all the right moves and overpowered the Saints in the first set.
Yeah, the Saints have to commit to having the Jags off balance and convince the Jags and force unforced errors by the Jags here to not only capitalize on those points, but to throw this caliber defense out of their defensive scheme.
Jaguars get the first point of the second set, 1-0. The Jaguars, they can get on a roll. They didn't exactly get on a big run in the first set. It was more of just a gradual pull away, and they just showed they were the better team in that first set, and now they're up 2-0 here in set two. But like I said, a lot of times they can get on a roll in the middle of a match once they figure things out. Teams can hang with them for just a little bit, but they can figure it. But they know how to make adjustments. And we saw it all of last year as well.
Absolutely. A little bit of miscommunication up front by the Jags, but the serve did not go over the net. And on the last point, that was a good strategic verification by Flagler, soft touching it over and punching it over, just not enough height on that serve for the point to go to the Jags.
2-1 Jags, they're going to float it up, and Jessica Hedrick hits it hard enough. It's 3-1, excuse me. Jaguars with the early lead here in set two, and now Hedrick will take a seat. And it'll be Holland Martin serving it. And a float over by Murchie. She may have hit it one too many times, so it's 3-2 now. Flagler gets a point. She floated over with both hands. 3-2 Jaguars. Peach Belt Conference regular season is a double round robin. Every team plays each other home and home. The Jaguars have already played the Saints in St. Augustine earlier this year. The Saints winning that match. Jaguars now hosting here in the second match of the season, leading 4-2.
The Saints don't look tired at all from the lengthy travel from Florida either. They look ready to go. Today's match is the first match of the second half of conference play. The Jaguars have played everybody once, and now they begin playing everybody again here with today's match. They'll play 12 conference matches overall. This is their 7th. It's a good job there by Flagler, not over-anticipating where that ball was going to go and not overreacting to it and trying to play that, knowing good and well that that was going to sail out of bounds. So good read there by Flagler.
4-3 Augusta.
Flagler was ready for that powerful kill from Ramos there.
And that almost went into the stands, but that was saved by Rachel Makovic.
So this is how good Nicolette Ramos is, right? She comes over with a phenomenal, powerful kill that was snuffed out by the Flagler front court. Then she kind of does a little woman in motion, comes to center court, then soft touches it over. If she could have gotten it over the net, that would have been a point for the Jags. But she is phenomenal in terms of a strategic combatant up front for the Jags to have out there as the outside hitter.
Flagler takes the lead, 5-4. This is their first lead since they led 1-0 in set one. It was all Jaguars in set one after the opening serve of the game. And now Flagler has the lead, 5-4. Holland Martin digs it up. Here come the Jaguars. A float over. And up on the net. And spike by Madison Malik. She's the tallest player on the Jaguars roster, 6'3", 1 inch taller than Jessica Hedrick, who's 6'2". It's a tall tandem at the front court. 6'4". Flagler with the lead. And Ramos with a beautiful kill on that one. It's 6-5 now, and now she's going to serve it.
Yeah, Ramos always attacks and owns the kills that she strikes in with vigor, and the opposing team has no chance to react to it if they're out of position at all.
Allen hits it across, but that's going to go. No, that stays in. What a beautiful job by Chloe Allen. She came all the way from the backcourt up to the front to hit it across. Covering a lot of ground on that one. It's tied at 6. Ramos is one of the newcomers on this year's team. She brings experience, though, from her time at Florida State College of Jacksonville. She's a junior transfer from Jacksonville. Coach Quarles loves to get recruits from all different backgrounds. JC transfers, grad transfers, sophomore transfers, freshmen, you name it. She'll get them all, and it always helps to bring experience to a new group of players. And that helps the Jaguars find success this year in their 19-7 record, on the verge of win number 20 in 2019. And they get a point there. Ramos will serve it once again.
Well, not only just good all-around play, but you also look at some of the seniors and juniors. They had very good leadership coming up as sophomores and freshmen at times, where you had last year Mackenzie Beck and a lot of other really good, talented seniors on the court for the Jags. They took charge as player leaders and taught these juniors and now seniors and some sophomores now how to be a leader, how to play rigorously hard in transition in every aspect of the volleyball game, and it's carrying over nicely here this season with this crop of leaders coming up for the Jags, teaching a lot of the freshmen and sophomores for the future. And
the Saints try to save that one, similar to what we saw before. That was Carly Redfern tried to save it, but it goes out of bounds. Jaguars get the point. We're tied at a touchdown apiece here in set number 2. Chloe Allen will serve it for the Jaguars. In addition to Mackenzie Beck, like you mentioned, Blake, Natalia Govea was a senior on last year's team. Blair Bolton, Savannah Gonzalez. That's a really good group of players that graduated from this year, and a good mix of returners and newcomers, whether it's freshmen or JC transfers. It's worked out well for the Jaguars. We're tied at 8 here at the Chris in set number 2. The Saints doing a much better job hanging with the Jaguars than what we saw in set 1, but the Jaguars take back the lead at 9-8 here in the first set.
It was a really good quick strike kill there by the Jags, just getting it past the diving defensive setter there. Man, that had some velocity on that kill.
So it'll be the senior Peyton Murchie serving it. Speaking of this year's team, Peyton Murchie as well as Jessica Hedrick, they're the only 2 seniors on this year's roster. So a much younger team, and a team that's just as experienced as last year and just as hungry at the same time. It's beautiful when you can get younger and stay consistent, and Coach Quarles has done a good job of putting together a team that's been able to do that the last couple years.
Well, and not only that, but when she does recruit, they have very good volleyball awareness, whoever she brings in. So they fit right into the system, and in that, when you have a unit that is so tightly wound like the Jags are, and almost like a family, it is hard to separate that. And they bring that type of unit and family onto the volleyball court, and as a family, the Jags are almost unstoppable when it comes to defensive and offensive play when they are in position.
Chloe Allen with a diving dig gets it over the net. And now she digs it up again. What beautiful Awareness by Chloe Allen, and the amount of ground that she covers to get to the ball and hit it over is fantastic. And she's only a junior, so she's got another year after this to make an impact here at Augusta University. Her and Holland Martin, the other junior that's been here several years.
Yeah, they're going to be fierce leaders if they stick around for next season. So the Saints have done a really good job of anticipating kills and getting up when they can to block the kills, being one step ahead of the jump for the kill, meeting the kills head on, but they're not ready for any of the deflections that come off those kills, and even when they do get the blocks off, the deflections either go out of bounds or in an open area, and that's deadlocking the Saints from catching up here, even though they're only down by 3.
Absolutely. The Saints take timeout here in set 2. This is their first of two times. The Saints used both of their timeouts in set 1. The Jaguars haven't used any of theirs this match. They have had no need to,
right, with
the way things are going. And that speaks to the preparation of this team. You know, UCLA was dominant in the 70s in basketball. John Wooden, their head coach, he never took timeouts during the games because they never had a reason to. They were so prepared. The Jaguars look like that kind of team today. And they have looked like that a lot of times under Coach Quarles.
That they have. They're very well coached, very, very well accustomed to the scheme that the Jags throw out on the court. And not only that, but we talk about the leadership. A lot of times, too, player leadership sinks in and cinches in more to a mentality than sometimes a coach does. So from that standpoint, because they can relate a little bit better to the moment and the here and the now. Even though a coach has played before, it's the camaraderie from all the girls that can penetrate a lot closer some of the times, and they're utilizing that to perfection to dig a lot of the Jags' woes out, and they're not showing it right now.
And Jessica Hedrick, a hard hit kill, and that completely catches the Saints off guard.
Right.
Another thing that Coach Quarles is good at is taking advantage of the other team taking timeouts. It gives her a free timeout to just talk things over with the players, and they're always able to stop the other team from making their adjustments, or anticipate what the adjustments are going to be, and continue to roll. And the other team the opponents typically just cannot keep up when the Jaguars get on a roll in those circumstances.
Well, to your point, she kind of stays on the offense too, in a sense that any adjustments that she makes coming out of a time like that, it forces the other team to make adjustments off of Coach Quarles' adjustments, and sometimes the other team is not ready for the adjustments that she brings out, and it takes them a couple of points to do that, and by that time, it's too late, because as we know, the Jags, once they get on a run, they are lethal.
Absolutely. And the Jaguars have now a 4-point lead here in set 2, 14-10. This might be a sign. Flagler has hung with the Jaguars a lot longer here in set 2 than they did in set 1 before the Jaguars gradually pulled away in set 1. Now it's 15-10. Can you sense a run coming with what we're seeing from the Jaguars? Now up by 5. This is their largest lead of set 2.
I can, but I can also see the Flagler stepping up here in a big way and going on a run themselves to deadlock this at 15 if it has that point, because they're only 4 points down, and coming out of that timeout, they look to have a little bit more fire to them and a more intensity about them and a little bit more focus coming out of that timeout.
15-11 Jaguars, so the Saints do get to have the most recent point. And that one goes out of bounds right in the hands of our scorer, Peter Heyman. Nice play by him.
So you look at it already, and we pointed this out coming out of the timeout, is that the drive and the focus is there from Flagler. They're anticipating more on the killing side of things, and they're coming up with better time blocks to stifle any type of offense from the Jags up to this point out of that timeout.
16-11 Jaguars. It's hit up right to Chloe Allen. She's going to hit it down. Where does that one land? It just landed out of bounds. Game of inches.
Anytime when you're playing free and in the lead and do not really have the weight of the world on your shoulders, the precision that it takes to create those points on the line is tremendous, but you don't feel it. So that way you're more free about going about it and you're more precise on that kill.
Now 2 straight points for Flagler, and it's 16-13. So Flagler hanging with the Jaguars. Again, the Jaguars still have the lead, but Flagler's trying to contain Augusta as much as they can. It's now 17-13. So Ramos will serve it, and she gets it over. And that one's going to land, and the Jaguars with another point, as the Saints weren't in position on that one to get set up for the attack. And it's 18-13 Jaguars. Ramos will serve it again. And Ramos has done a good job this year serving as Natalia Govea's replacement. Natalia Govea was the main server last year for the Jaguars. Ramos is that person this year. 18-13. Jaguars hit it right to Ramos, and she hits it very hard across, but the Saints were ready for that one. And Chloe Allen on the other end hits it down, gets it done again. And it's 19-13 Augusta. And Ramos will serve once again.
The longer the point went, the more tired Flagler got, but at the same time, and they couldn't capitalize on what they were capitalized earlier with the timing of the blocks, and that came back to haunt Flagler.
And that one bounces off of the fist of Holland Martin. Hard hit ball. It's 19-14.
And the longer points go, the Jaguars, as we pointed out last weekend, are built for endurance, and you can kind of see it right now because that hole that Chloe Allen killed was not open at the start of that particular point, and it opened up at the tail end, and the Jags capitalized.
And Chloe Allen does it again, and it's 20-14.
Yeah, she is cooking on all cylinders with Crisco today. Defensively, offensively, she's like Ramos was on Friday for the Jags last week.
And that one bounces off the top of the net and back onto the Saints side of the court. So that results in a Jaguar point, and it's 21-14. AU, and now it'll be Chloe Allen serving it. Ramos will take a seat. Chloe Allen has 2 digs so far this afternoon. Nicolette Ramos has 5 to lead the Jaguars so far. Kylie Martin with 3. And that another one bounces off the top of the net back to Flagler's side, and another point for the Jaguars. The Saints are struggling to hit it over, not being able to hit it high enough to sail over. And it's 22-14. Allen serves it again and hits it hard enough on that one. It's 23-14, and she'll serve it again.
And they're prevailing a little bit of miscommunication here by the Saints the last 2 points, especially on that point where they couldn't get it over because there was 4 players surrounding the ball, and it was almost like a meeting of the mind. Say, you got it, I got it, the other person has it. Well, when you say that, nobody has it, and it falls through.
It's like a pop fly in baseball when the entire infield surrounds it.
Right.
23-15 after the service error. And Allen with the dig on the Jaguars side. That one sails out of bounds, but it was hit off of a Saints player, so it's 24-15 AU. Set point here. Saints hung with the Jaguars a little bit longer here in set 2 than they did in set 1, but ultimately the Jaguars have started to pull away once again, just showing their endurance and how well conditioned they are with their preparation. It showed again here.
We have a little bit of a different look up front with Nadeau Evans coming in for the Jags as well.
(24-16) Flagler. Sorry, 24-16 Augusta with the lead. The Saints got the last point. They're serving it. Jaguars trying to close out set 2 and go up 2-0 here in this match. And Jessica Hedrick hits it across. Where does that one land? It just went out of bounds, and the set will play on. It's 24-17 now.
That was a tough read there by the libero because it was like a rocket coming straight to her. So she was out of position to play it, but at the same time, she read it right to where it had enough muster to get out of bounds to save the Saints.
Allen, a diving dig. She continues to be all over the place today. And now she floats it over. And that one lands in bounds and another point for Flagler. That's 3 straight since it was set point. For Flagler, they're not going away. Jaguars still trying to close it out. They still have the momentum on their side, though. But you can tell Flagler wants to keep fighting, of course. Here come the Jaguars. Floats over. That goes out of bounds, and the Jaguars take set 2, 25-18, and go up 2 sets to nothing as we now transition to the third set. And we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we will preview that third set here at the Chris. It's the Jaguars and the Saints. Jaguars lead at 2 sets to nothing. We will be back. Well, back to Augusta. It's 2-0 Augusta as we about to begin the third set. And Blake, they were playing the song in between sets 2 and 3 just now, the song Unstoppable. Does that make you think of the Jaguars with the way things have gone?
Yeah, between that and bodies diving all over the floor to save points in the song Bodies Hit the Floor as well. It's absolutely, the Jags are on a tear here, whether it be diving for balls that are, you don't think they'd be able to dig out, but they do. It shows heart, determination, and it's something that Flagler has yet to figure out how to contend with, and that's something to look forward to here in the third set, to see if they can develop a scheme to pick the Jags out of their spots, out of position, and capitalize on points when it is in their advantage to capitalize on them.
Jaguars get the first point of the third set, and the Saints get the second point, so we're tied at 1, just like that. Going into this third set, the Jaguars have 11 kills to the Saints 5. That is a big reason why it's 2-0 Jaguars here in set 3. 2 sets to nothing Jaguars, to be specific, here in set 3. 1-1 is the score here in set 3. And that point goes to the Jaguars. It's 2-1.
Well, it was just like that on the first point. You saw there how Flagler killed the ball low enough on Nadeau when she blocked it to hit it low enough to where it went straight down instead of over to the net on the Saints side, on the carry him off the block, and that's something that Flagler needs to start to do too, is incorporate strategy into a lot of their kills and to some of their offensive game to catch the Jags out of position, off balance, and try to send them scrambling to where their mentality starts to dwindle a little bit.
Point for Flagler, so they score 2 in a row and they lead at 3-2. Jaguars gradually pulled away in each of the first 2 sets, although Flagler held with Augusta a little bit longer in set 2. And we'll see how much longer they're able to hold with Augusta here in set 3. Closeout sets are always the toughest. Closeout game in a playoff series is always the toughest as well, even if you have the momentum.
Yeah, just look at Game 6 of the World Series and how Justin Verlander and Steven Strasburg.
The Astros go back to Houston after winning 3 in a row.
Yep.
With a chance to close it out, they lose 2 in a row at home after what a series. The away team winning all 7 games.
It's never happened in the history of sports before, and it probably won't ever happen again in the history of sports. That's yet to be seen, but it's highly unlikely that it will.
I agree. What a series it was. And what a run for the Nationals to win their first World Series in franchise history.
Look there, staunch blocking by Flagler again, going up a couple of seconds before the kill was even thought about, and timing it just right for Flagler to capitalize on the block instead of the imposing Jags offense.
Jaguars get the point, 5-4. They have the lead. Let's not forget when these 2 teams last met in St. Augustine, Florida. Almost a month ago, the match was won by Flagler 3-2. So in 5 sets is what that one took for Flagler to get the win. The Jaguars hoping for a different outcome tonight. They've done everything in their power for exactly that, trying to close this one out. And it floats over the net there. And Nicolette Ramos with a spike. And it's 6-4 Jaguars. Or no, did they give the point to Flagler? They did, so it's 5-5. They have just landed out of bounds.
Now you're back at a deadlock score. You're back at square one. And for the Saints, you're looking at this like it's in set one. You're back at square one in set one. You were tied. You're only down by one. You still have a phenomenal chance at coming back. And if you're the Jags at this point, you're looking at putting the pedal to the metal, closing this out without any more hiccups, and force Flagler to be sprawling out of position to make saves and digs and capitalize on when they're not in position to create those points and go on a run here and close this thing out.
6-6 is the score. This has been a back and forth start to set number 3. This year's conference tournament will be played across the border in Aiken. And the Pacers, the host team, have had an unbelievable year. What a year for them to host. And the Jaguars would love to catch them in the standings for seeding ramifications. So would the Saints. And that's why this game is so crucial here today. 7-6 Jaguars, now 8-6.
For Flagler there, they timed it just right. Just the kill went off the side of the Saints' arm, and nobody was there to back up the block.
The Jags were ready for that one. The Saints tried to do a little trickaroo when they hit it across, but the Jaguars had a trick up their sleeves themselves.
Phenomenal save there by the Saints. But
that was an epic round of hitting it back and forth.
Yeah, and we talked about the save. Just when you save it up, you relax, and that's something you can't do against these Jags. You relax, they're caught back on their heels, and the Jags capitalized because they could not shift from the back of their heels to an attack defensive position and dig that ball out.
Where does that one land? It lands, I think it was out of bounds, but it went off of a Saints player, so what a beautiful job by Jessica Hedrick on that hit right there. It's 10-6 Jaguars, 4 straight since we were tied. Jaguars starting to get on another one of those runs. And that's now 5 straight. It's 11-6. The Jaguars smell blood, Blake?
I believe, yeah, it looks like they do, and they're tremendously hard to score against when the Jags are this dominant this particular set. And when you can score, you take that and it builds confidence, like you saw there with Flagler, to be able to say, maybe we can come back in this game. Maybe we can take down a giant that has been known as they get on a run to finish it out very quickly. And the longer they can stay in this set, the more confidence they'll build up, and the more of a chance they will play with focus. And it could be, once we get later on into the set, that we may actually find ourselves deadlocked again, or Flagler could possibly take the lead. It all depends on how their scheme works against a Jags defense that is anchored in at this point.
It's 11-7. The Jaguars have a 4-point lead, and it's now 3. That one lands out of bounds, so it's 11-8. We'll see what happens, but if you want to know just how hard the Jaguars are to stop when you're on a run, just ask Georgia College. They were in this building 11 days ago, and the Jaguars absolutely dominated sets 2 and 3 after a very grind-like set 1 win.
Yeah, it was a game of run. It was a matchup of runs basically, because Augusta had gotten out on a run, then Georgia College comes storming back
in the first set.
Let out on a huge run of their own. The Jags came back, and ultimately the Jags won it on a 29-27 affair in the first set. But you take it away from that game, you take that Flagler here, if they can keep it close, has a really good chance of coming back, because there are holes in this Augusta system, even though it doesn't show itself much, if they can find them and if they can exploit it, then they'll be in really good shape here. And again, Robert, if you're Flagler here, you're looking at this like it's the first set of the game. You don't look at it like you're down 2 sets here. You're back to square one. You're fighting for your life. You're playing as focused as you've been all game long. And we'll see how it turns out for him.
Nidu Evans kills the ball, hitting it across the court. What a beautiful job there. It's 12-9.
Yeah,
Jaguars.
Very good job of scouting and deadening the ball where she wanted to hit it, and then utilizing her eyes to have the opposing front court shift over, and then putting the kill right where they shifted over on the opposite side for the point.
13-10 now. The Saints with the point. The Jaguars, of their 19 wins this season so far, 9 sweeps. Looking for sweep number 10 and win number 20 here in set 3. And lead it 14-10. Jaguars' most recent sweep was 8 days ago against UNC Pembroke here at the Chris.
We got a little bit of different look in the front court too, with Coley Allen, Nicolette Ramos, and Nadu Evans up there.
Jaguars once again with the lead and the ball. They hit it across, and that one lands out of bounds, so that's a point for Flagler. It's 14-11.
Well, and it's something, too, that this particular set, there hasn't been much action in the backcourt for the defensive setters and the libero with Holland Martin to contest back there. It's all been, the majority of it has been in the front court, and that's worked out wonders for the Jags because Flagler has not yet been able to penetrate much in the backcourt, and when they have, they scored points and capitalized, but it hasn't been often as much as they would like it to be.
And where does that point go? That goes to Flagler, so that they're able to spike it down inbounds. And Flagler is battling right back. It's 14-12. Jaguars still though with the lead. They're setting up the attack. Chloe Allen hits it hard over, and that ricochets off of the Saints and lands just inbounds. Wow.
The Jaguars were collapsing up front, and they thought that point was going to be secure. Phenomenal dig out there by the defensive setter for Flagler, and then the punch over where they already going out. Flagler didn't, and that cost the Jags.
Jaguars still with a 1-point lead. Ramos hits that one over. And another spike attempt by Nidu Evans, but that one just lands out of bounds. And we're tied at 14 here in set 3. The Saints have come roaring back. This is a good Flagler team. We don't want to lose sight of that. As much as we talk about how great the Jaguars are, and they are, the Saints are 18-6 overall. They played 2 fewer overall games than the Jaguars, but 1 more conference game.
Yeah, they're just playing a lot of heart here. This is before that last point, that was the 3rd deadlocking score of the set, which hasn't been done much on Augusta's home court, especially in games that Augusta has been playing. So that's saying a lot from a team that has faltered a little bit the first 2 sets, but it seems like now they're coming back into their own a little bit and forcing the Jags to respond to their type of play instead of Augusta forcing the issue and putting the Jags on the back burner and say, this is how you're going to play. You basically are switching up your defense according to our offense. Instead, Flagler now is opposed to their offense on the Augusta defense.
16-14 Jaguars. So Flagler roars back to tie it. The Jaguars score 2 in a row, and Flagler cuts it back to 1. That's back and forth at its finest. It's 16-15.
Yep, so if Flagler can continue to have the Augusta defense play Flagler style of game, then Flagler will definitely be in good shape. They're only down by a point right now. They've got Augusta kind of on the heels right now. They can't afford many mistakes like just happened there with an error on the ace an error on the serve for Flagler that came at to bite him. Now it's in Augusta's possession.
17-15 Jaguars. And that one's going to land out of bounds, and it's 18-15 Jaguars. The Saints have done a much better job. Each set, they've gotten better at hanging with the Jaguars. The Jaguars ultimately pulled away in each of the first 2 sets, but they pulled away a lot later on in set 2 than they did in set 1. And the Saints hanging with the Jaguars a little longer here in set 3, and they get a point there to make it 18-16. But they have not been able to pull ahead. When they rallied to tie it, the Jaguars answered right back to take the lead right back.
Yeah, that kill saw a missile coming directly at Holland Martin. She couldn't get her hands up in time to dig that out and deflect the ball where any Jags could come back and dig that point out for the Jags. So Flagler's creeping up. They're only down by 2.
And now down to 1 once again, 18-17. Flagler used their timeouts early in each of the first 2 sets. They have not used them yet in set 3. The Jaguars have not used any this game. It just shows you just how much better Flagler has been able to hang with the Jaguars here in set 3. And we're tied at 18.
Yeah, you look at Madison Malik and you're thinking an opposing force up front has tremendous power on a kill. So what does she do? Change it up there. Goes with a soft little float over and confuses the Flagler defense, and now we're deadlocked at 18.
Flagler looking for their first lead of the 3rd set. They have led very briefly in each of the first 2 sets by just 1 point, but the Jaguars answered back both times. And the Jaguars take the lead once again. They're still not letting Flagler pull ahead. 19-18, Chloe Allen back to serve. Holland Martin will take a seat. Jessica Hedrick will check in for the Jaguars, who lead by 1. Jaguars come on the attack, and they get the point. It's 20-18.
Communication was key there for the Jags, setting that up. Miscommunication there by Flagler came back to bite them as it's slowly slipping away from Flagler, which forces the issue on the timeout.
And that's Flagler's first timeout taken this set. They've taken their first timeout a lot later than they took it in the first 2 sets, which shows you just how much longer they've been able to hold with the Jaguars, and they're still right in it within striking distance. But it's crunch time. Jaguars lead it 20-18. We'll be back. Welcome back to the quiz. I'm Robert Ambrose with Blake Collins. It's 20-18 Jaguars here in set 3. Jaguars lead this match 2-0, trying to close out the Saints and complete their 10th sweep of the year and their 20th win of the year. But they got work to do with the Saints right within striking distance, down 20-18. The Saints just took their first time out of the set. Jaguars have not used any of theirs this match, not that they've needed to, of course. And here come the Saints on the attack, and it's hit up in the air on the Jaguars' side, and they get it across. A beautiful job that time. And it's hit back over. Both teams with an even 43 attacks. But the Jaguars with 15 kills to the Saints 8, and that's one of the differences in this game.
Yeah, right there, you saw tremendous setups there by the Jags. Great passing, phenomenal setups led to an integral kill.
21-18. $21-19 now.
It's not often that you catch Holland on the back of her heel. She's always ready to respond to anything thrown her way, but that time it's a little bit of a different story.
Absolutely. Jaguars preparing their attack. They get it across, but Flagler is ready for that one. And that one's going to be a point for Flagler. It's 21-20.
It's one of those areas where the Jags did everything they could right. Just the pinpoint of the kill there had the deflection just inside the out-of-bounds line, and there was nothing the Jags could do about that point but to tip their cap.
And whistle. Is that a netting violation? It's a point for Flagler. We are tied at 21. Flagler with a chance to take the lead. Something they have not been able to do yet in set 3. They've been tied several times. But each time so far, knock on wood, the Jaguars have gotten the point. Jaguars will look to answer back again here. And the Saints take the lead 22-21.
Think about this. They were down as many as 4 in this set.
A lot closer than they've been in sets 1 and 2. And now the Jaguars take their first time out of the match. Trailing for the first time since it was 6-5 Flagler in set 2.
And for Augusta here, it's just settle down. You're in firm control here, leading 2-0. Settle down, regroup, get your bearings back about you. Don't exceed the pressure that's being put on you right now by putting pressure on yourself.
This set 3 is far from over. The Jaguars have come back from bigger deficits late in sets before. Set 1 11 days ago, College trailing 24-21. Roared back and won set 1 29-27 and absolutely went on a roll in sets 2 and 3. We've talked about that multiple times today, but it just shows you this team can come back. So I'm sure that the Saints are aware of that as well, and might be something they can discuss in this timeout as well. Take advantage for
and the thing is, it's not much of... Flagler's in a good position now because it forces head coach Sharon Quarles to adjust off of what they're doing. Flagler has been in the position most of the game to they're adjusting off of what head coach Sharon Quarles is doing. So it's the opposite effect here that Flagler's in control of right now. They want to keep pushing the pedal to the metal here.
Jags attack, and it's hit back onto their side, so now they can reset. Chloe Allen hits it over. Where does that one land? It lands in! We're tied at 22.
That's one of those plays where the backcourt, the libero, and the defensive setter wanted to both get that kill at the same time, but they were both a little bit timid because they were going to run into each other, and thus both of them held up. Nobody went to dig that out, and it split the defense, and that's where the point came to fruition for the Jags.
This could be one of those sets in which the winning team has to score more than 25 points. If the Jaguars want to score 25 and win, they'll have to score the next 3 points, down 23-22.
Because in a set this good, you don't want it to just end on a 1-point victory. You have to win each set by 2 here in volleyball.
And a netting violation, and at 24-22, Flagler has roared back, and now is 1 point away from forcing a fourth set. Jaguars they just got to focus on getting 2 in a row to tie the game before worrying about closing this out. Hedrick floats it over. It's on the Saints side. That's tipped, and that goes out of bounds, and the Saints rally to win set 3, and we will continue playing. It will be a score.
Jags, the tail end of it were a little bit discombobulated. They were not able to get sound base, sound footing enough to gallivant to the holes that were open for Flagler to kill or have soft floatovers into, cover enough ground to get to those balls, and that is where Flagler took it, especially at the tail end. Now, for Augusta, you're at set 1. So basically, right now, what you want to do is get a solid defensive ground and transition that into the defense. But Robert, we'll be back in a minute.
Yes, we will. Stay tuned. Welcome back here to the Chris. We're getting set to start set 4. Jaguars lead it 2-1. They took the first 2 sets, the Saints winning the third. It just shows you just how hard the closeout sets are, Blake, as the Saints played the Jaguars a little tougher in each set and ultimately came back to win and close out the Jaguars in set 3, and even though the Jaguars were in control most of the set. And the Saints gave the Jaguars a taste of their own medicine, went on a roll to win set 3 to extend this match to a 4th set. Now they'll look to do it again here in set 5, to force a set 5 here in set 4. The Jaguars will look to bounce back and try to get on a roll, which they've struggled to do so far in this game, but they've done in the past. And we've seen it before where the Jaguars would drop set 3 and then absolutely roll in set 4 to close it out. So we'll see if they're able to do it again here, and they take the first point. We hit 1-0.
It was a good recuperation there by Flagler. Even though they couldn't get it over the net, they still tried with 2 attempts. It means they're reacting better and they're more focused, especially in the last set and this set. Let's see if that turns into points for the Saints as we go forward.
And that's another point for the Jaguars. They lead at 2-0. Ramos will take a seat. Allen will be back in and will serve it. They just like to go back and forth between the two, between Ramos and Allen, whoever's in the game, to serve it. And we'll likely see that again next year. Both are juniors. Last year it was Natalia Govea serving basically all the time for the Jaguars, leading at 2-0 here in the fourth set. Still trying to close this thing out. And that is another point for the Jaguars, 3-0.
If you're Augusta, don't let up any at all, because you know Flagler's going to make some adjustments here pretty soon.
And it's 3-1.
This is a good call, because you had two potential hitters there for Flagler. They elected to set it up to the near side hitter here to kill it instead of the one that was going down the middle of the court, which confused the Jags a little bit, and the block wasn't there in time, and it deflected in play toward the out of bound for the Saints.
4-1 Jaguars. Substitutions here. Peyton Murchie will check in. Nidu Evans will as well. Madison Malik will take a seat, along with Samantha Zitrauer. And Murchie, just in the game, will serve it. And not Chloe Allen serving. Interesting call there. That one sails out of bounds. And that just lands in. Chloe Allen put her hands up thinking about going for it, decided to lay off thinking it was going to go out of bounds, but it just landed in. And it's a point for the Saints.
Had a little bit of top spin toward the tail end there, but sneaky. And that type of precision, you have to be able to hit it precisely if you're going to play against a very strong Jags defense.
And Flagler with another point, and it's 4-3. AU has had the lead most of every set, except for a few instances, and in set 3, that one instance was all that mattered. Flagler has not yet led in set 4, although we're still very early, so knock on wood, Blake. Martin hits it up in the air. Allen hits it across. It bounces off the net and lands. Diving attempt by several Saints players. To no avail, it's 5-3 Jaguars.
That change in direction and velocity, you had the Saints in position, but due to it hitting the net and taking a little bit off of that kill, it forced them to scramble and they couldn't recover.
That one also lands in, and that's a point for the Saints. It's 5-4. Saints hanging with the Jaguars again here in set 4. Now they go on the attack. Jessica Hedrick flies in, hits it over, it goes out of bounds, and right into the hands of our SID, Marcus Johnson. Good reflexes by Marcus to catch that one, hit right to him.
It's a very good read by the Jags up front, knowing that the front court middle blocker and outside hitters for the Saints were not going to be able to time that enough to be able to block it. So a very good read up front by the Jags to secure their 7th.
7-4. Jaguars Holland Martin serves it. It's hard hit right across. And Chloe Allen with one hand hits it back. And that's tipped and down for a Saint point, and it's 7-6.
Zitrauer, Evans.
Correction, 7-5.
Yep. Well, when you have Zitrauer and Evans in there for Augusta, even though it's a smaller front court, they're getting valuable experience that will help them when they get to the tougher schedule, especially here at home with what we were saying earlier with Lander and USCA can come into call for the final 2 games.
And another point, and it's 8-6. The Saints get the point.
It is extremely hard to balance an attack that Ramos puts forward, but the Saints used her power there on that kill against her. Had the deflection hard going back on the Augusta side, and there's nothing they could have done to dig that out.
And now, so they changed the scoreboard. It's 8-7 Flagler with the lead. Their first lead is set 4, and a service error ties the game at 8.
The Flagler Saints have to be happy with the way they're performing the past 2 sets. They let the Jags out on a 4-0 run to begin with. Then they came right back on a 4-0 run, and now it's deadlocked again at 8.
And Flagler takes the lead 9-8.
And as we've been talking about, this is a really good, steady, and a really good, powerful defense transitioning into offense for Augusta.
They go right on the attack, and the Saints were ready for that one. And it's 10-8.
Good timing on that kill by Nicolai Ramos there. And when the Saints snuffed that out, they used the power against her, and the thing is, the Jags didn't have anybody there to dig that ball up and recuperate what was lost off of the block there.
And the Jaguars take a timeout, their first to set 4. They took the first timeout the entire match near the end of the 3rd set, and now they take one a lot earlier here. The Saints are feeling the momentum swing after coming from behind to win set 3, and they have the lead here in set 4, and that forces Coach Quarles to take an earlier timeout here. But the Jaguars use a quicker timeout as they're back on the court a lot faster than the Saints are. Not the first time we've seen that, though, today. So just need a quick reminder of what they got to do and a quick pep talk during the timeouts compared to what the Saints do.
And the thing is, too, this was perfect because now Augusta especially can get a little bit of a break, react better on the defensive side of things. They've been kind of caught back on their heels a little bit, which is out of their character a lot because they're usually really steadfast on defense, but they haven't been able to recuperate a lot on what Flagler's doing, so hopefully that timeout will definitely help them in that regard to come back here.
Chloe Allen with a beautiful spike guarding the net. And she totally faked the Saints out. She looked one way and hit the ball a different way. And it's 10-9.
When we talk about strategy, you utilize a lot of that type of thing with eye movement, strategic to get the follow back through, hit it where they just left to dig that ball out to where it's the open area like that, and utilize that type of strategy, like you said, to fool the Saints on that one. And it was a great call there by Chloe to do that.
11-9 Flagler. And now here come the Jaguars. Malik hits it over. A lot of back and forth in this round. Hit back up in the air by Allen. And the Saints were ready for Chloe Allen's spike attempt. And we continue to play on here. And they were ready for that one as well. And a beautiful dig by Holland Martin to get it back over. And the battle is won by the Saints. And it's 12-9. They answered back for every attack the Jaguars made on that one. the Saints were ready, and they ended up getting the point. It's 12-9. The point for the Jaguars cuts it to 12-10.
Whether it be something that was said during a timeout or something in between sets, this is the tale of two different Flagler teams between the first and second set and the third and the fourth set here. It was more focused, more driven, and being able to capitalize on more opportunities that they're given right now.
It's now 12-11. Jaguars tie it up, 3 straight for the Jaguars. They're starting to answer back and go on a run, which you knew had to be coming at some point.
Eventually, there's not a set that goes by that the Jags don't go on some semblance of a run. The trick is for the opposing team to see if they can minimize that and quell it. But it seems like right now the Jags are on top of it, and it's been a four-point swing here.
Absolutely. Allen serving. The Jaguars, after the 4-point swing, now have the lead. How huge is that? Timeout to wipe sweat off of the court. 13-12 Jaguars. And we'll see how this little break in the action benefits the Jaguars, gives Chloe Allen a little bit of time to prepare for her serve. And she gets it across. And Jessica Hedrick was right there guarding the net to spike it down. And the Jaguars lead by 2. And timeout Saints. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Chris. 14-12 Jaguars here in set 4. Jaguars with the lead 2 sets to 1, and a 14-12 lead here in the 4th set. Each team with 1 timeout left, and that one goes out of bounds right to Coach Quarles, and that's a point for the Jaguars. 15-12. 6 straight for the Jaguars. As now they're trying to close out this match. They were unable to do so in set 3. They have another shot here in set 4, and the 6 straight point streak comes to an end, and the Saints get a point. It's 15-13.
Very good decision there by Flagler to hit it a little bit off the side of the arm to where into a corner to where nobody was there to pick up the block after the block.
15-13 Jaguars. They go on the attack. And is that a point for the Jaguars? I believe it is. 16-13. Nidu Evans and Peyton Murchie checking back in. And that one sails Out of bounds. Jaguars point 17-13.
Just a little too hard on the kill. Right idea there, going cross court to the back corner of the court. Just a little too hard.
And Holland Martin digs it up on the Jaguars side, right to Chloe Allen, but she hits it right on the net. Just didn't get it high enough. It was hit hard, right idea, just hit the ball a little bit closer to the top of the ball. As a result, hitting the net, and it's 17-14. Saints getting the point there. Jaguars still with the lead, though, 17-14.
Well, now you're hoping if you're Augusta, the Saints cannot capitalize and score points on a run here.
That's something they did right at the end of set 3, and that's the reason we're still playing. And that one sails out of bounds. It bounces off the scores table, and Jaguars have a point, 18-14. Holland Martin will take a seat. Ramos back in.
Good kill. Bad luck on the carom for Flagler. If that ball would have caromed to the right and deflected to the right, we would still be playing the point right now.
The whistle, and not sure what the ruling is, but it's a Saint point, so it's 18-15 Jaguars. Allen will take a seat. After today's game, the Jaguars will play 3 straight on the road, starting Tuesday of next week, this upcoming week, at Georgia College, who the Jaguars swept here at the Chris 11 days ago, and then they'll travel to Francis Marion and take on UNC Pembroke next week, this upcoming weekend. The Jaguars hosted all 3 of those teams last week, and will play all 3 on the road next week, with the way the scheduling goes as part of the first half and the second half of conference play, with getting a round robin home and home within the Peach Belt Conference. And then after that, the Jaguars will close out the regular season right here at the Chris, with matchups against the Pacers of USC Aiken and Lander University as well on Senior Day. That'll also, Senior Day against Lander, that evening, that Saturday evening, will be the first game of the basketball season as we transition into basketball season. So that'll be a big day in Jaguar athletics.
That it will be. That it definitely will be.
Jaguars get it back over, leading 20-16 here in set 4, trying to close out this match, and that one lands just in. Point for the Saints. It's 20-17.
Well, now you look at it too. Augusta, with this win, if they gain the victory here, will climb back out of the 500 hole that they've been in. They won Friday, which put them over the 500. The loss Saturday put them right back into that 500 mark, and that's something that you want to try to get above and stay above if you can. But with a rigorous schedule coming up, that's going, like, every win right now when you're in the thick of the schedule, like you are when you're Jags, is a very crucial game going forward. Absolutely, they lead at 21-17. It gets crucial once the Peach Belt Conference play starts. You play more games out of conference than you do in conference with the way it's set up here. Well, especially now that Flagler is coming into this game as 5-2. Augusta's 3-3. Yes. If it can flip a little bit, it can be 4-3 and 5-3. Flagler in conference play will only be 1 game ahead of Augusta going into the road games, and we'll see how it lines up. But with 3 and 4 going this close and playing this type of game we're seeing here, yes, every conference game is going to be a juggernaut game for Augusta going forward. Jaguars lead at 22-18, 3 points away from a victory here in this match, but still got a lot of work to do. Flagler right behind them, and they get the point. It's 22-19. Each team has 1 timeout left. Will either team use their timeout? We'll wait and see.
Saints with 3 up on the net, which you see a lot from the Jaguars. But the Jaguars get the point. How about that? 23-19.
A very good decision to send that kill close to the line, forcing the Saints to make a crucial decision whether to play it or not.
And a point for the Saints, it's 23-20. Jaguars on the attack, trying to get closer to a victory, and they do! It is match point, 24-20. Augusta with the lead.
It's a good decision there by Augusta, hitting a cross-court float over kill there because they saw the near side hitter here have her weight shifted to the left. They hit it to the right, and she could not do anything about it to capitalize on a dig.
Allen, another diving dig that time, and that one sails out of bounds. It's a point for the Saints. This match will continue at least one more round.
So the question is, will this set end like the set started?
The set started with a Jaguars point.
But at the same time, it also started with Jags went on a 4-point run. Flagler came back with a 4-point run, and that's what we're looking at now. If Flagler were to come back,
they'll need a 4-point run, and they have 2 of those points already. The Jaguars right now need just 1 more point to stop the 4-point run, and it's over.
And it's like the 27th out in baseball. The
hardest
25th point is the hardest to get in a set.
And the closeout set is the hardest to win. And that one is a point for the Jaguars, and the Jaguars take it. 3-1, 25-22 here in set 4. And the Jaguars, with a huge win, will climb in the standings, improve to 4-3 in Peach Belt Conference play, and 20-7 overall. Their 20th win of the season. Another great season continues for Augusta University Volleyball as they'll continue to climb into the standings, and that's huge. They want to be in a good position before their 3-game road trip next week, Blake.
Yeah, they do. They have a really, really tough slate ahead of them with the 2, like we've been talking about, USC Aiken and Lander to close out the season back here in 2 weeks, and then within the road trip next week. It's going to be tough. But this type of game against Flagler with a team on the back end, closing like Flagler did, coming on strong, being focused, playing their best at the tail end, giving Augusta a 4-game set was really, really crucial for them to measure up to what Augusta has coming up.
Absolutely, this was an excellent match, and what a job by the Jaguars to close them out after Flagler continued to fight tooth and nail against them till the end, but the Jaguars, with their conditioning, were able to close this one out. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to try and get Chloe Allen up here for a post-game interview, the star of today's game, but we'll have to wait and see about that. So we invite you to stay tuned as we're going to try and get a post-game interview for you before we wrap things up here in this one. Once again, the Jaguars win 3-1 here, closing out the Saints in 4 sets. We will be back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Christenberry Fieldhouse. I'm Robert Ambrose. I'm joined by Chloe Allen, star of today's game once again. And Chloe, you're able to close out the Saints today after they were able to answer you guys in set 3, and then you come right back in set 4 and go on another run. What does that mean for you guys today?
I think that we were able to capitalize on what we needed to. Last time we did go to Flagler, we went to 5. Literally the same thing happened we won the first 2 sets, and then we couldn't finish the next 2. So it really showed us that today that we're improving by winning the 4th set and just coming out and not letting them, beat us and to take over into the 5th set. So I'm just glad that we were able to finish and really play hard and come together to realize what we needed to do.
So going into this game, they were 5-2, and you guys were 3-3 in the standings, and now you're a little step closer. This is your 3rd season going at this stretch of the season. Do you think much about the standings and where you're at, looking at seeding for conference tournament? Do you guys think about that, or is the focus on one set at a time, one match at a time all the time?
We kind of like to keep it one match or one set at a time, but always in the back of our mind we know that each match is important, whether it's conference, region, because it is going to get us one step closer to regional, conference, regionals, and essentially nationals, if that's what we're working towards. So it's always a goal in mind that we know, like, when we're going out, what game we're playing, to play our hardest, and to see where that gets us. So.
I don't know how many of your players keep track of this, but that's now 20 wins.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
It's awesome. I think we're having a great season. We're coming out and doing the job that we need. We have a lot of new players this season, and I think we're all coming together cohesively and kind of meshing well. So each win is a victory in itself, and so we're just hopefully that we can continue down and get more wins as we go.
So what goes through your mind? You and Nicolette like to serve a lot, I've noticed. So what is your mindset and where you try to hit the ball to set up on a serve each time and when you go back and forth with it?
So with serving, we always have servers in mind. Usually you're going to serve the weaker passer, obviously not the libero because they're probably going to get a great pass every time. So serving to either the 2 players who are back there who is not the libero, it helps because it just can get them out of system to where they can't run all 3 of their hitters. So that's kind of what goes through our minds. We have people who are thinking about serving at, and so we can change the direction of our serve, the speed, and everything like that. So.
All right, so now looking ahead, you have 3 straight road games before the final 2 home games of the regular season. So up next, if you go on the 1 game at a time, Georgia College. You guys swept them 11 days ago when they came here. What do you expect?
I expect us to continue that. I think how we came out and played today, if we can just carry that on over to Tuesday, I think we'll play awesome and do the same thing that we did the first time. So. All
right, thanks, Chloe, for your time once again. Congratulations on the win. Go celebrate this weekend.
Awesome.
And good luck on Tuesday night. And once again, I'm Robert Ambrose. We will come back to wrap things up after this. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Christenberry Fieldhouse. I'm Robert Ambrose. I'm rejoined as we wrap things up by Blake Collins. Blake, what a match. The Jaguars pulled away gradually in each of the first 2 sets, and the Saints would not go away. They came from behind. They hung right with the Jaguars the entire 3rd set and came from behind right at the end to extend it to a 4th set, and the Jaguars answered right back in that 4th set to close it out. Any final thoughts?
This was a really good test for a Jags team who has a rigorous schedule up ahead. You mentioned with Chloe, they're going to Georgia College next. They're no slouch, even though they took the Jags to the limit the first set, 29-27 last Friday. Jags came back virtually swept that game, but there's still no slouch whatsoever. It's going to be crucial heading in, and then the final two on the back end is going to be the most pivotal ones with USC Aiken and Lander coming calling here. Now, if Augusta can continue the great footwork that we've been seeing, the staunch blocking up front, the cohesion that Chloe was talking about, working as a family, working as a unit, growing together, being able to know where everyone is on the volleyball court and not necessarily say compensate, but readjust to the holes that are opened up by different players going to get digs, different players trying to save plays. If players notice that and they see an open area in the court, go and try to save any type of open area that the opposing team can utilize and conquer as a point. That's going to be huge going forward, especially against the rigorous competition on the back end of the road trip and the last game of the road trip as well. Outstanding scouting work today. Phenomenal blocking scheme up front. Flagler gave it a really good, tough test at the tail end. There was a tale of two teams. You thought at the beginning Augusta might have a chance to sweep it. Flagler came in more focused in the third set. Don't know if it was something said in the timeout or some of the leadership on that team wrangled and rallied everybody back up to take it to Augusta. But from the Augusta defense standpoint, just get your base back. Get your base back. Get a solid base under you. Be able to have an attack mindset on defense to where you're not caught sleeping on the back of your heels. You're ready for everything coming your way, and transition the digs into solid passing and solid transitional setup so that you can transition that into phenomenal attacking and phenomenal offensive play.
Absolutely, and we'll see if that shows Tuesday night when the Jaguars visit Georgia College in Milledgeville. It'll be the first of 3 games on the road next week for the Jaguars before returning home the final weekend of the regular season, November 15th and 16th. They'll play the Pacers in Border War on Friday the 15th, and then on the 16th, Senior Day against Lander, and that will also be the season opening day for the basketball team. What a day that will be in Augusta University Athletics. That'll all be right here at the Chris, both the volleyball and the basketball games for you. We will bring you to the final matchups of the volleyball season on Friday the 15th against USC Aiken and Saturday against Lander. We'll bring you all the action right here for those matches on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. We look forward to bringing you those matches, and those will be huge matches for seeding in the conference tournament. If the Jaguars are able to run the table and take care of business on the road, it will not be easy, but if they're able to do that, they're going to be playing those home games in 2 weekends from now with a chance to clinch a first-round bye in the conference tournament, but they'll have to run the table on the road in order to have that opportunity.
Yeah, it's especially if they can get up into that 2 seed, because I do not for the life of me think that USC Aiken's going to relinquish that first spot without a fight.
Absolutely not. It won't be easy. That's a very good USC Aiken team. The Jaguars beat them here at the Chris last year, so we know anything can happen. It's going to be a great match, and I can't wait for it. The next 13 days cannot get here soon enough. Once again, the final score here at the Chris, the Jaguars defeating the Flagler Saints 3-1. This has been a special presentation of the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. For Blake Collins, I'm Robert Ambrose. We'll see you on Friday night on the 15th as the Jaguars take on the Pacers of USC Aiken. The next edition of Jaguar Volleyball on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. Have a great weekend, everybody, wherever you are, and we'll see you on the 15th.